I done had a fan accuse me of getting them pregnant before, y'all. Saw the baby, I said, no, that ain't my baby. Nose ain't big enough. It ain't mine. Hello there, Bellas. If you have not already done so, please remember to like, share the Facebook, subscribe, and visit uptopbeauty.com for these Miss Hollywood DC shades. I don't know if I think we got like 1 or 2 left. I'm just trying to get rid of all the, spring, summer stuff so I can make room for the fall. Eventually, I will be showing you what I decided to add to the fall collection. But as of right now, like I said, I'm trying to get rid of some shit. And if you are not already a part of our book club, please hit the Patreon link below and or the join button here on the YouTube. And for a small monthly fee of $5, you babies, yes, you can be privy to all the shenanigans before the YouTube gets it, if the YouTube gets it. Now, book club members, remember that the next book we're going to be doing, because I believe that this Michael Jackson book is going to carry us through to Thanksgiving. We're starting Thanksgiving Day. It's going to be The Color Purple. And then after we finish The Color Purple, we're going to move on to the next book. The paying book club members already know. Use other ones. Don't. Now, let's continue talking about the magic, the madness, the whole story. 1958 through 2009. Michael Jackson by Randy Turbolele. Mike, you know the record market is off right now, Ron Weisner told him as the title track Thriller blared from the speakers. He had to almost shout to be heard above it. Yeah, Mike, Quincy agreed. You can't expect to do with this one what you did with Off the Wall. These days, 2 million is a hot album, Ron added. Yeah, it's a tough market. Nobody's having hits, Quincy said. Turn it down, Michael shouted at the engineer. I said turn it down. His smile was now gone. What's the matter with you guys? He wanted to know. How can you say that to me? You're wrong. You are dead wrong. But Michael, Quincy began. Look, don't even talk to me, Michael said, turning away from Quincy. I've had it with you, Quincy. Don't ever tell me anything like that again, he added angrily. What kind of attitude is that to have? John Branca sat in a corner and watched the scene. A wry smile touched his mouth. He'd been around Michael enough to know how this scene would climax. Goodbye, Michael announced as he stormed out of the studio. By the next day, Michael had worked himself into a full-fledged fury. I call that stewing. Because you know you Virgos can do that so well, child. Y'all will sit on shit for days. You hear me? Days. And you be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why you so mad for? And they stewing over something that happened in 1972, you like, nigga, get it out. Just talk about it, because it could be something that you got wrong in your mind, because you know they cook up shit in their mind, right? Michael pissed. He's super pissed. And what you don't want to do is give a Virgo time to stew. He telephoned John Branca and told him how angry he had been at Ron and Quincy for predicting that Thriller would only sell 2 million copies. I know, John recalls saying, don't listen to those guys, Mike. You're the one who knows. They don't know. But Quincy should know, Michael said. Well, maybe not this time, John told him. You're the man. Call Walter Yitnikoff, and he'll tell you the same thing. No, you call him, Michael said, and tell him this. Tell him the record is canceled, John. It's over. I ain't even submitting it to CBS. But Mike... No, John, if Quincy and Ron don't have faith in it, then forget it. Michael said, I'm not even going to let the album come out. Thriller is gonna be shelved forever, he said. I'd rather it go unheard than see it not get the attention it deserves. Look, but Mike, let me tell you something, Michael said, cutting him off. There are winners in this life, Bronca, and there are losers. Before John had a chance to respond, Michael hung up. 10 minutes later, John telephoned Michael to tell him that he had passed on the message to Walter Yetnikoff. And no big surprise, Walter wanted to talk to Michael. He wanted Michael to call him. What? No way, Michael said. Tell him to call me. But Mike, tell him to call me. And Michael hung up. Whereas most of CBS artists were intimidated by Walter Yetnikoff, Michael was not at all cowed by him. After all, he dealt with Berry Gordy one-on-one. Walter called as instructed. According to Walter's memory, when Michael told him what had occurred at the studio, he tried to calm him down. What the hell do they know, he said, of Quincy and Ron. On December 1st, 1982, Thriller was released to a market of seasonal shoppers. It seemed ironic considering the impact Thriller would have on the record industry, that when CBS released the album's first single in October, a little over a month before the issuance of the album, many observers thought Thriller would be a disappointment. The auspicious pairing of Michael Jackson and Paul McCartney for the mid-tempo The Girl Is Mine, which the singers co-wrote while watching cartoons, appeared to be the greater interest than the song itself, which, while cute, was lacking in substance. And then came Billie Jean, dark and sparse by Quincy Jones production standards. Billie Jean prowled in rhythm like a predatory animal. It's a disturbing song Michael wrote about a girl accusing him of fathering her child. Joseph Jackson's extramarital affairs and his daughter Giovanni must have come to mind when Michael wrote the lyrics. However, there was another experience Michael had, which was the catalyst for Billie Jean. In 1981, a female fan wrote Michael a letter to inform him that he was the father of her baby. She enclosed photographs of her, a young and attractive black woman in her late teens whom he had never met, and of the infant. Michael, who often received letters of this nature, ignored it as he does the others. This teenager, however, was more persistent than the rest. She loved Michael, she claimed, and longed to be with him. She could not stop thinking about him and about how happy they would be as they raised their child together. She was obviously disturbed. In months to come, Michael would receive dozens more letters from this woman. In one, she claimed that the baby and Michael had similar eyes and wondered how he could ignore his flesh and blood. It wasn't long before Michael began having nightmares about the situation. He fixated on her, wondering where she was, when she would show up at the front gate, and what he would do then. It seemed to some in the family that he had become as obsessed with her as she was with him. Yikes! You better watch them fucking fans, okay, or stands. You hear me? You go around, walk outside, and they in your front lawn in the middle of the summer when the tennis racket and a fur coat on. You better watch them. I'm telling you, and all their kids. I done had a fan accuse me of getting them pregnant before, y'all. Saw the baby, I said, no, that ain't my baby. Nose ain't big enough. It ain't mine. One day, Michael received a package from her. When he opened it, he discovered another photograph, her high school graduation picture. In it, she smiled with girlish innocence. Also in the box was a gun. In a note, the fan asked that Michael kill himself on a certain day at a certain time. She wrote that she would do the same right after she killed the baby. She had decided, she wrote, that if the three of them could not be together in this life, perhaps they could in the next. Michael was horrified. He took the photograph, had it framed, and displayed it in the dining room on the coffee table, much to Catherine's dismay. God, what if she shows up? He fretted. What will I do? I have to remember this face, just in case. I must never forget this face. She never showed up at Michael's gate. In fact, he later learned that the poor young woman ended up in an insane asylum. After Billie Jean came out, Michael said that he wrote the song with his obsessed fan in mind. Ironically, Quincy Jones did not want to include it on the Thriller album. He did not think it was a strong enough song to be part of the collection. Okay, that's crazy. Closer inspection of Thriller as a whole revealed an ambitiously crafted work that moved in a number of directions. The suburban, middle-of-the-road calm of The Girl Is Mine was the antithesis of rambunctious Beat It, another highly charged Jackson composition in which Michael augmented his crossover rhythm and blues style by employing a harder-edged rock and roll sound. Some reviewers felt Beat It was a shameless quest to attract hard rock fans. The track featured Eddie Van Halen, whose band Van Halen was a preeminent rock group, on searing guitar bridges. Damn, I didn't know that was Eddie Van Halen. While the tune was more of a marketing concoction in the past, Michael had never shown any particular fondness for straight-out rock and roll. Beat It would still find acceptance among rock. On the other hand, if the funky "Wanna Be Starting Something" sounds like a distant relative of Off the Wall's song "Don't Stop Till You Get Enough" and "Working Day and Night," the similarity occurred because Michael wrote them all during the same period. There were other standouts. The moody and introspective Human Nature, written by Steve Porcaro and John Bettis, was an expansive pop ballad whose sheer musicality kept it from being mushy. The funky PYT, standing for Pretty Young Thing, credited to James Ingram and Quincy Jones, and the sultry ballad Lady in My Life by Rod Temperton were both efforts to beef up Thriller's R&B direction. Lady in My Life was by the same token as close as Michael had come to crooning a sexy, soulful ballad in his Motown years. Perhaps that was why it required so many takes before the lead vocal was to Quincy Jones' liking. Didn't I tell you that goddamn Lady in My Life make me want to get naked? You are the lady, you're my lady. The title track, Thriller, was its own animal. The song said much about Michael's fascination with the supernatural and the lurid. Thriller is a typical Rod Temperton song, melodic with a fluid bass line and big mind-imprinting hook. The lyrics had excitement and intrigue, and the song concluded with a stately rap by the master of macabre, Vincent Price. Thriller would have been even more compelling as the title track of a concept album, but Thriller, the album, had no actual focus. It was just a bunch of great songs. Even the album's cover art, a photograph of a casually posed Michael, uncharacteristically dressed in white jacket and pants, seemed incongruous. However, it's the picture many people refer to when discussing his plastic surgery, saying if he had just stopped there, he would have been fine. With Thriller, Michael and Quincy had successfully engineered glossy, authentic versions of pop, soul, and funk that appealed to just about everybody. However, no one in the music business expected the public to take that appeal so literally. At some point, Thriller stopped selling like a leisure item, like a magazine, a toy, tickets to a hit movie, and started selling like a household staple. At its sales peak, CBS would report that the album was selling an astounding 500,000 copies a week. By the end of 1983, Thriller would sell a staggering 13 million copies in the United States and nearly 22 million worldwide. At that time, the all-time best-selling album was the original soundtrack to Saturday Night Fever, with worldwide sales of 25 million since its 1977 release. Oh yeah, the Bee Gees did their thing with that one. Joseph Jackson is known among his friends and associates as a man to overextending himself by investing in unsteady business ventures outside of the careers of his children.